Hey, what's up? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this super speed effect that we did in our latest video. It's relatively simple and easy to do, but it ended up looking pretty good, so I'm excited about this. So we're going to be doing this shot here where he runs through the hallway because it's relatively simple and it doesn't require a lot of extraneous other effects besides the super speed itself. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is make some custom assets, and basically what these are little bursts of lightning that you're going to use to create the lightning trails that are coming out behind the flash. And so what these are essentially still pictures of lightning, one right after the other, that are lined up to look like a single burst of lightning. So it's essentially a bolt of lightning that lasts about 5 frames. If you have a lightning generator in your software, I would suggest using that instead of doing the way I did it. I just got images off of the internet and kind of augmented them, but it would probably be faster and probably look a lot better if you used a lightning generator. Motion, as far as I know, doesn't have one, so I had to do it this way, but if you have that option, you should probably take it. So we're going to import our footage, which is just Brandon running across the hallway in his house as fast as he can. We're going to trim the ends, so it's just, first we're going to take the piece where Brandon is running across the hallway, and trim the ends, and we're going to speed it up. We're going to want a little bit where he's not in the hallway so we have time for the speed trail to dissipate, and also so we can use it as a clean plate. But the part where he is running across the hallway, we're going to speed up to about 400%. So he's just going across like a flash. So just do that until it looks good, mess around with it, eyeball it, and then we're going to duplicate his layer. We're going to add a directional blur, and we're going to mask him out of the layer. And this is going to do 2 functions. First of all, it's going to mask the blur so that the blur is only on top of him, and second of all, it's going to create a mask around him so when we add the speed trail, we have something to isolate him from the speed trail with, because the speed trail is going to be colorful and blurry, and we don't want that. We want it to look like he's going over it so that it looks like it's coming out of his back. So don't worry about getting this blur on the couch, because we're also going to be masking that couch and everything that's in front out so that we don't get the speed trail on that either. So right now this looks pretty good. If you're just going to do a basic super speed effect, that would work for it. So we're going to duplicate the clean plate. We're going to push it back till it's over everything, and we're going to mask the couch and the wall and the shelf out. And this will first of all make it so that the blur goes behind the couch, so it integrates him into the scene, and second of all, when we add our energy trail coming out behind him, it won't go in front of the couch. So double duty. So we're going to duplicate the clean plate again. We're going to put it under his layer, under the blur layer, but over the main background layer. We're going to tint it red, so as you can see, it's behind that couch. We're going to put it in add mode. We're going to put a directional blur. We're going to crank that up pretty high, and we're going to add an underwater effect. And we're going to decrease the size and put it under the directional blur. So that looks pretty good. So then we're going to basically mask this red blob so that it's following him and it looks like it's coming out of his back. So first we're going to make a big mask so that we know sort of where it's going, so that it's like skimming along the top of his head and following his feet. Then we're going to start refining the blur mask so that it's hugging to Brandon a bit more and it's not this weird blob. Just to feather a little bit and refine the couch mask. I don't label anything because I'm lazy, but you probably should. Just fix some of that. So then we're going to put our speed trail into a new group by itself, and so then we can mask that group, because masks work very weird in motion. So we're going to keyframe this mask so that it follows Brandon across the screen, so it looks like the speed trail is coming out of him. And this would look a lot more effective if he were actually wearing red, but whatever. So we feather that, so that looks pretty good. Then we're going to play with the settings a bit. I tried putting the underwater effect on top, didn't really work. So we're going to set some keyframes and basically make it so that these effects all keyframe out after he leaves the scene, and do the same thing to the opacity of the layer. So he runs out of the scene, he leaves this trail behind him, and then the trail dissipates pretty quickly. So that looks pretty good so far. Just rushing across the scene there. Put the directional blur back on top because it looked dumb with the underwater on top. And there we go. So then we're going to bring in our first little lightning stock footage video. We're going to put it in the same group as the speed trail, and we're going to put it in add mode and shrink it down. And basically what we're doing is we're having these things come off of him but stay in the same place. So it looks like he's leaving behind this trail of lightning. So in the show it sort of looks like it's shooting out of him and being kind of dragged behind him, and I didn't really like the way that looked. In the comics I always got the impression that he's more leaving behind this trail of lightning. So basically we're going to copy paste these little lightning videos, and so it makes this sort of trail of lightning behind him that dissipates after he leaves in the same way that the speed trail dissipates. So sort of flip these upside down and kind of mess with them so that there's a little bit of variation. Another thing we can do is go to a point where the speed trail is already established and add more of these lightning assets to sort of buff out the speed trail and make it last a little bit longer so it doesn't dissipate so quickly, and so it's a bit more random, so that like after he leaves there's sort of a couple more crackles of lightning. So just sort of copy paste and then move those backwards, so it's a bit more of a solid trail. And then we're going to make a second lightning trail coming off of his feet. So same thing, we just go forward each frame, we add another lightning, go to the next frame, add another lightning, go to the next frame, add another lightning. Super simple stuff. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So this effect is starting to come together. We've got the trail, it looks very comic booky. We're going to add more lightning, except this time above everything, and we're going to have it coming off of his hands, so that way that all the lightning isn't just behind him, it's also interacting with him, and it looks like it's coming off of him. So we're basically going to go forward each frame, and we're going to add a little lightning to wherever his hand is. And because he's moving so quickly, we don't really need to keyframe these or have them follow him, because speed. That's the nice thing about doing super speed effects, is that you don't really have to do a lot of animation. You're just kind of giving an impression of something. So that's nice. So I'm going to add a lens flare. We're going to adjust the color of the lens flare, and we're basically going to keyframe it so that it follows this lightning that's coming off of his hand, just to sort of give a consistent motion to his motion. And the moment he leaves, we're going to turn this lens flare off. This also will kind of blend him with the rest of the scene, so it doesn't just look like he's entirely behind the couch. There's some light spill in front of the couch. We're going to kind of tone that down a bit because it's a little too bright, and looks pretty good. Looks pretty good so far. So then what we're going to do is we're going to find this background plate that's behind the mask, that one there. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a tint. We're going to tint it yellow, and we're going to add a levels, and we're going to kind of brighten it up a bit. And that way it looks like he's affecting the scene. And so we're going to keyframe that so that it gets brighter as he runs through. So it looks like he's lighting the room up a little bit. But because we have that mask there, it doesn't look like we just applied it to the whole scene. It looks a little bit more realistic. We're going to move that mask out so that the light doesn't just stop at the top of the wall, because that would be silly. And we're going to kind of edit it so that the light looks a bit more realistic without ruining the mask's original function of keeping the speed trail behind the couch and behind the door. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. And so I ended up adding a particle system here because I felt like he should be kicking something up in the scene, because I felt like it wasn't affecting the scene enough. And so basically I added these particles to this square white rectangle. I made it white, I made it blurry, I turned up all the randomness settings, I turned up the speed, I turned up the lifetime, so that I made these sort of floaty dots of dust that float around. And the trick with particle is just play around with the settings until you get something that looks nice. But that's it for the super speed effect. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any other effects that you'd like to see us do, please tell us in the comments, and hopefully we'll be getting to you with another video soon. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.